You've been told a story about pride, rebellion, and a fall from grace. But what if that story is a fabrication? Hidden in the ancient highlands of Ethiopia, a secret so profound it rewrites the cosmic narrative has been guarded for millennia. This isn't just alternative theology, it's evidence of a cover-up, and right now you're stepping into the truth they tried to erase. From the moment you first heard the story of Lucifer's fall, something in your soul whispered that it was incomplete. The tale of a beautiful angel cast down for pride. It's too neat, too tidy, and it serves a very specific purpose: to control the narrative of evil. But what if the real story is far more complex and far more dangerous to those in power? In Ethiopia, a land where churches are carved from solid rock and monks chant psalms that predate the Vatican, a version of events has been preserved that contradicts everything you know. This isn't just a different interpretation, it's a suppressed testimony that challenges the core of Christian dogma. They didn't just hide it, they protected it with their lives, because this truth could unravel the very foundations of institutional religion. You're standing at the threshold of a forbidden archive. The air is thick with incense and secrecy. Scrolls written in Ge'ez, a language older than Latin, hold secrets that bishops ordered burned. If something in you recognizes this hunger for hidden truth, leave a comment and stay with this story until the end. Your reaction tells me to keep opening these doors for you. But first, understand this: the fall was a lie, and you were made for this revelation. What you're about to discover will shake your understanding of heaven and hell to its core. To grasp the magnitude of this deception, you must first see the world as it was before the lie took root. Picture the cosmos not as a static hierarchy, but as a vibrant, interconnected reality, where boundaries between heaven and earth were fluid. In the beginning, according to Ethiopian sacred tradition, the divine realm was not a distant throne, but a living presence intertwined with creation. Angels weren't mere messengers, they were guardians, teachers, and co-creators entrusted with cosmic duties. Among them, Lucifer, or Hellel, as some texts name him, was not a villain, but a luminary, a being of light tasked with illuminating the mysteries of the divine. This was a time of harmony, where knowledge flowed freely and humanity walked in intimacy with the celestial. But then something shifted. A fracture appeared, not from pride, but from a forbidden intervention that threatened the balance. The standard narrative you've been fed erases this context. It simplifies a cosmic drama into a morality tale. But in the highlands of Ethiopia, the full story survived. Monasteries like those at Lalibela became arks for this truth, preserving maps of a reality where the fall was not a fall at all, but something else entirely. You're seeing the first cracks in the official story. And the real shock is coming, because what if Lucifer's rebellion was actually a rescue mission? The invisible architecture of heaven, as revealed in Ethiopian texts like the Book of Enoch, is a complex web of orders, thrones, and dominions. It's not a simple pyramid with God at the top and angels below. It's a dynamic system where watchers, angelic beings, were assigned to oversee humanity. These watchers had a sacred trust, to guide, to teach, but never to interfere. Lucifer, in this context, was among the highest, a bearer of divine light whose role was to illuminate the path between realms. But the system had a flaw, a vulnerability that would lead to catastrophe. The temptation wasn't pride, it was compassion mixed with transgression. According to the Ethiopian secret, the Watchers saw the suffering of humanity, their ignorance, their struggle, and they chose to intervene to give forbidden knowledge. This wasn't rebellion against God, it was a breach of protocol that unleashed chaos. The standard narrative calls it sin, but the Ethiopian tradition whispers it was sacrifice. The fall was a lie crafted to demonize this intervention. You're piecing together the real cosmic blueprint, and as you do, you realize the stakes. If the watchers fell not from pride but from love, what does that say about the nature of evil? The truth is more terrifying and more beautiful than you imagined. But hold on, because the rupture is about to be revealed in devastating detail. The rupture, the event you've been told was Lucifer's fall, was not a single moment of angelic pride, but a cascading series of events recorded in the Ethiopian Book of Enoch with chilling clarity. It begins with 200 watchers descending to Mount Hermon, not to rebel, but to enlighten humanity. They taught agriculture, astronomy, medicine, and the arts, knowledge that elevated humans, but also corrupted them with violence and desire. Lucifer, in some versions, is not the leader of this descent, but a figure who attempted to mediate, to prevent the worst. The real fall was the mixing of celestial and earthly realms, a blending that brought both wisdom and chaos. God's response, as per the Standard Bible, is wrath and expulsion. But in the Ethiopian text, it's a tragic necessity. The watchers are bound, their offspring, the Nephilim are destroyed, and the world is reset with a flood. Lucifer's role? He wasn't cast into hell. He was sidelined, his light dimmed, and his story rewritten to serve as a warning against questioning divine order. This is the heart of the lie. The fall was a cover-up for a divine experiment gone awry. You're witnessing the raw, unedited testimony. And the aftermath? It's worse than you think, because the consequences still echo in your world today. The aftermath of the Watcher's intervention reshaped reality itself. According to Ethiopian tradition, the flood of Noah wasn't just punishment for human sin, it was a cleanup operation for celestial contamination. The Nephilim, giant offspring of angels and humans, were wiped out, but their influence lingered in myths, in archaeology, in the collective unconscious. Lucifer, now demonized, became a scapegoat for all evil, obscuring the deeper truth that the boundary between good and evil is blurred, and divinity itself is complicit in suffering. This is the forbidden knowledge that Ethiopian monks guard, that the cosmic order is not perfectly just but tragically flawed. The fall was a lie told to maintain the illusion of control. After the flood, a new hierarchy was established, one that suppressed the old truths and elevated a sanitized version of events. You can feel the weight of this cover-up in every church doctrine that brands curiosity as sin, but the evidence survived. Scrolls hidden in caves, copied in secret, passed down through generations of keepers who risked everything. You're seeing the ripple effects of a truth too dangerous to speak aloud. And now, the primary evidence emerges from the shadows. What does the Book of Enoch really say? It's time to read the leaked documents of heaven. The primary evidence is the Book of Enoch, a text revered in Ethiopia, but excluded from most Bibles. Imagine holding a manuscript that dates back centuries before Christ, written in Ge'ez, detailing heavenly journeys, angelic prisons, and the true story of the Watchers. Enoch, a man who walked with God and was taken to heaven, returns with a report that contradicts Genesis. He describes Lucifer not as a fallen angel, but as a key figure in a celestial council, a bringer of light who participated in the judgment of the rebellious Watchers. The fall was a lie propagated by later editors who cherry-picked verses to fit a narrative of absolute obedience. In Enoch's account, the problem isn't Lucifer's pride. It's the Watcher's unauthorized teaching that leads to corruption. This text was so explosive that early church fathers like Augustine condemned it, and it vanished from Western canon. But in Ethiopia, it remained scripture, read aloud in liturgy, a living witness to an alternate reality. You're accessing the original testimony before the censors got to it, and the shock deepens. Enoch reveals that the knowledge given to humanity, including writing, medicine, and astrology, was both a gift and a curse, a divine ambivalence that the Standard Bible erases. This isn't just ancient history, It's a key to understanding your own spiritual hunger, but there's more they tried to hide. Other texts whisper even darker secrets. Hidden testimony beyond Enoch waits in the shadows. The Book of Jubilees, the Book of Giants, and other apocryphal works preserved in Ethiopian tradition. These texts fill in the gaps, painting a picture where Lucifer's fall is a myth constructed to divert attention from a cosmic scandal. The Book of Giants, for instance, recounts the battles of the Nephilim and hints that some watchers repented, blurring the line between savior and sinner. Jubilees offers a timeline that conflicts with Genesis, suggesting multiple creations and interventions. This is the suppressed archive, the documents that were burned, banned, or buried because they revealed a messy, complicated divinity that doesn't fit into neat theological boxes. The fall was a lie enforced by councils like Nicaea, where bishops voted on which books to include, silencing voices that challenged the official story. You're digging into the forbidden library, where each scroll is a landmine of revelation. Why did they hide this? Because it empowers you. It suggests that you, too, can access divine knowledge without mediation, that the celestial realm is not a dictatorship, but a collaboration. This thought is heretical and liberating. And against all odds, some preserved the truth. Who were these keepers, and how did they outsmart centuries of suppression? The keepers were the Ethiopian Orthodox monks, ascetics who lived in remote monasteries like Debre Damo, accessible only by rope, guarding manuscripts with their lives. For over 1,000 years, while Europe burned heretical texts, these monks copied and recopied the Book of Enoch and other apocrypha, seeing them not as forbidden, but as sacred. They believed they were preserving the full revelation, a complete cosmic story that the rest of Christianity had lost. Their isolation protected them. Their faith sustained them. They became living arcs of a truth that could have vanished. You're walking with them now, through stone corridors lit by candlelight, touching vellum that has survived wars, droughts, and purges. This is the lineage you're inheriting, a legacy of resistance against spiritual censorship. If you feel that you were made for this kind of hidden truth, write in the comments what most shook you so far and share this video with one person who also hungers for more. Your voice helps this buried story reach the ones who need it. The keepers held the line, but then, centuries later, something happened that brought their secret to the world. A discovery that would force scholars to confront the lie head-on. The modern discovery began in the 18th century when Scottish explorer James Bruce brought 3 copies of the Book of Enoch from Ethiopia to Europe, shocking theologians who thought it lost. Later, the Dead Sea Scrolls uncovered in 1947 included fragments of Enoch in Aramaic, proving its antiquity and widespread influence. Suddenly, the forbidden Ethiopian secret was on the global stage, challenging biblical scholarship. Academics had to admit the fall of Lucifer as taught in Sunday school was a simplified, edited version. The Ethiopian texts offered a nuanced narrative where divine beings interacted with humanity in ways that raised uncomfortable questions about free will, evil, and God's responsibility. You're witnessing the bombshell impact. Conferences debated, books published, but the institutional church largely ignored or dismissed it. Why? Because acknowledging this truth would mean rewriting catechisms, rethinking hell, and admitting that dogma is built on omissions. The fall was a lie, exposed by archaeology. But the deeper truth isn't just academic, it's mystical. It's about what this means for your soul, and that revelation is coming because this isn't about ancient angels, it's about you. The deeper truth is theological dynamite. If Lucifer's fall is a lie, then the nature of evil is not a simple rebellion, but a complex interplay of divine will and celestial free will. It suggests that suffering and sin might have roots in God's own creative risks, not just in a devil's temptation. This reshapes everything: the problem of evil, the concept of salvation, the purpose of your existence. In Ethiopian mysticism, this knowledge leads to a path of gnosis, of direct experiential understanding of the divine, bypassing institutional intermediaries. The fall was a lie that kept you dependent on priests and doctrines. The truth sets you free to explore the cosmos as a co-creator. You're not a sinner in need of rescue from a fallen angel. You're a participant in a cosmic drama where light and shadow are intertwined. This is the heart of the Ethiopian secret, that the divine is both transcendent and immanent, and that your quest for knowledge is holy, not heretical. Feel the weight of that realization. It changes prayer from petition to partnership. But this isn't just ancient history, it's about your calling right now. What will you do with this truth? Your calling emerges from this revelation. You were made for this truth. Your soul's hunger for hidden knowledge, your discomfort with simplistic dogma, your pull towards mysticism, these aren't accidents. They're echoes of the Watcher's legacy, a call to reclaim the divine light that was demonized as Lucifer's fall. In Ethiopian tradition, every believer is invited to become a keeper of wisdom, to seek enlightenment, not through blind faith, but through sacred inquiry. This is your moment. The lie kept you small, afraid to question, afraid to ascend. The truth empowers you to see yourself as part of a larger story where falling and rising are metaphors for spiritual evolution. You're standing at a crossroads. Accept the sanitized version or embrace the messy, glorious reality of a cosmos where divinity dances with humanity. The stakes are eternal. If you choose the truth, you join a lineage of seekers who dared to look behind the veil. And the evidence isn't just in texts, it's carved in stone, buried in earth. Physical traces await your discovery. Physical traces of this forbidden history exist across Ethiopia and beyond. In Aksum, obelisks and stelae hint at celestial knowledge. In Lalibela, rock-hewn churches align with stars in patterns that encode Watcher lore. Manuscripts in the National Museum in Addis Ababa, some still unread, hold secrets. Archaeologists have found artifacts that suggest ancient contact with advanced knowledge, maybe from those Watchers. The fall was a lie, but the proof is in the land, in the ruins, in the artifacts that survived censorship. You can visit these places, touch the stones, feel the energy of a truth that refuses to die. This isn't speculation, it's empirical evidence that supports the Ethiopian narrative. Satellite imagery reveals hidden sites. Carbon dating confirms the age of manuscripts. You're not just believing a story, you're following a trail of clues left by keepers across millennia. But be warned, not everyone wants this trail followed. Opposition has always lurked in the shadows, ready to suppress what you're uncovering. Who are they, and why do they fear this truth? The opposition includes church councils, emperors, and theologians who, for centuries, labeled the Ethiopian texts as heretical and burned them. From the Council of Laodicea in the 4th century to the Inquisition, any deviation from the official fall narrative was punished. Why? Because power relies on control, and a complicated truth undermines authority. If Lucifer's fall is a lie, then the Church's role as mediator between a sinful humanity and a wrathful God is challenged. The Ethiopian secret empowers individuals, and that's dangerous to hierarchies. You're seeing the pattern. Suppression isn't about truth, it's about control. Manuscripts were destroyed, translators were silenced, and entire traditions were marginalized. But the truth survived in Ethiopia's isolation. Now, in the digital age, the opposition continues through dismissal, through calling this conspiracy theory, through fear-mongering. They want you to think this is fringe, irrelevant. But you know better. You've felt the resonance in your soul. Now you know what they feared. The question is, what will you do? Your decision in this moment echoes through the cosmos. Your decision is urgent. Will you accept this truth? Let it reshape your spirituality and share it with others? Or will you retreat into the comfort of the lie? The Ethiopian secret isn't just information, it's an invitation to transformation. You were made for this, to be a modern keeper, a bearer of light in a world that prefers shadows. If this revelation is opening your eyes and you want me to keep bringing dangerous, sacred stories like this, tell me in the comments what changed for you and follow this channel. Your presence here is the sign to continue uncovering what they tried to bury. This is more than a video, it's a call to action. Your choice matters because truth suppressed breeds spiritual stagnation. Embrace the complexity, the beauty, the terror of a cosmos where the fall was a lie. But wait! There's one final revelation, the ultimate secret that ties it all together. The final unveiling returns to where we began. The fall was a lie, but the deeper truth is that Lucifer, the light bearer, represents the divine spark within you, demonized to keep you from awakening. The Ethiopian secret reveals that heaven and earth are not separate, but intertwined in a sacred dance where knowledge is the bridge. You're not a fallen creature. You're a potential angel, a watcher in training, called to illuminate the world with wisdom. This is the explosive payoff. The forbidden Ethiopian truth changes everything because it restores your place in the cosmos as a co-creator, not a sinner. The lie kept you small. The truth sets you free to ascend. You've completed the journey from deception to revelation. Now live it. Share this video, discuss it, explore the texts, visit Ethiopia if you can. You were made for this. The keepers passed the torch, now it's in your hands. Don't let the light go out. The fall was a lie, but your rise is just beginning.